Oh, this is Philip Tyrone with 720 credit score with attorney Ken Neely, where Neely Law, student loan advocate, student loan attorney when it comes to forgiveness, qualifying for federal student loans, private student loans, et cetera, et cetera. Ken, good to see you.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah, good to be here.
So Ken, this continues our series because this is an ever evolving process with student loans, forgiveness, no forgiveness, et cetera, et cetera. And in this video, I want to talk specifically about qualifying for student loan forgiveness with federal student loans. So first of all, let's talk about that distinction. What's the difference?
Yeah, so absolutely. What we have found is that it's really a myth out there that federal student loans, that there are no options in bankruptcy to deal with federal student loans. In fact, there are, and in fact, the success rate is quite high. And so what's the difference? Well, the difference used to be, I think, Phil, that people felt like with private student loans, maybe there were more options in bankruptcy. And but what we have found that even with federal student loans, if some of these recent programs that have been rolled out by the Biden-Harris administration do not fully resolve a borrower's problem, then bankruptcy discharge may be a viable way to deal with that student loan.
So Biden came off and the Biden-Harris administration came and said, we're going to wipe off $10,000 off your student loans. Is that just came out, right?
Correct. Yeah, 10,000 for most borrowers, and then 20,000 for some borrowers who qualified for Pell Grants. Correct.
Okay. So first of all, let's go down that road, but I want to talk about that qualifying that way. But I also want to talk about the people who have 30,000, 50,000, 100,000.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had mutual clients where you have relieved and gotten forgiveness of $100,000, $200,000 worth of student loans. And that's a misconception that the media misses, everybody misses. So let's start with the Biden-Harris administration, the $10,000. How do people get that? Where do they go? What do they do, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. So the key here with the forgiveness program, the Biden-Harris student loan forgiveness program, is that the loan has to be owned and held by the Department of Education. So a lot of federal student loans are what are called commercial loans by the media, are guaranteed by the federal government. In other words, the federal government will make sure that the bank who loaned the money gets paid back, but it actually was a bank that loaned the money, not the Department of Education, not the U.S. Treasury. Those loans do not qualify, and there are a lot of those loans out there. My loans were those types of loans from law school. So
about what percentage of loans are those lent by banks?
I don't know an exact percentage. My guess would be probably around a quarter of the federal loans are these quote commercial loans, or the other term is federal family education loans, FFEL loans. So those do not qualify. So a lot of people will receive a unpleasant surprise when they maybe go and try to apply and they find out their loans actually don't qualify. But if the loans are held by the Department of Education, then the way to apply is to simply go on to studentaid.gov and sign in, and there's an application available already. It's available right away. So it became available, I believe, near the end of October.
So the beautiful thing is if it is a federal loan, it's not one of those commercial loans or an FFL loan or whatever. And I mean, it could be just they wipe $10,000 or possibly $20,000 off the top, right?
Correct.
And it's as simple as easy. You don't need anyone to help you. It's just go studentaid.gov, fill it out. You're going to need all your loan numbers, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. Very easy process. They've made it as streamlined as possible. And from what I've heard, it is actually pretty efficient, pretty quick just to go. Essentially what you're doing is you're electing to receive this forgiveness. The government had to make it an opt-in process due to some lawsuits out there. So you do have to opt in. You do have to raise your hand and say, I want this forgiveness. And that's really all you're doing in the application.
We will have all those links below this video. No problem with that. Now, for the people that got the unpleasant notification that they don't qualify or something, I mean, that can be seismic. I mean, I know if I had a $20,000 student loan and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to get this wiped off, and then I didn't get it, I'd be like, wow, that's horrible, right? A
Yeah.
big downer.
Yeah.
How do those people are not left out. This is the thing, and this is the message we're trying to relay. You know, we're trying to get out there because of your law firm, and tell us about what you're doing for people. And let's focus on federal. The next video will be on private,
Okay.
but specifically at studentloanrelief.us and Neely Law Firm. What does this look like?
Yeah. So, well, there are going to be some people who don't qualify for any forgiveness at all. And maybe, as you said, in your hypothetical scenario, maybe you have $20,000 or $30,000 of student loans and simply don't qualify for any forgiveness. And then there are going to be those who have some of the student loan debt forgiven. So perhaps $10,000 or $20,000 reduction in their total balance, but still have a sizable loan left, still have 50,000 left, even after the forgiveness, or 100,000 or 150,000. So to those borrowers, I say there are additional options. And one very effective additional option would be to consider a bankruptcy to discharge those student loans in bankruptcy. Or perhaps you've already filed a bankruptcy, but your bankruptcy attorney said, there's really nothing we can do with student loans. We can still use that bankruptcy discharge that you may have received a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and we can still use that towards applying for a discharge of your student loan balances that you may carry still presently today. It is a process that we go through inside of your bankruptcy, but we can do this in any state across the country. We have attorneys in every state that we can work with, possibly even the attorney you did your bankruptcy with, to go through this process, file suit against the Department of Education, and justify that your student loans should be partially or fully discharged in your bankruptcy, which would mean that they would go away, or at least partially go away. No tax consequences of that. The balance just goes down or goes away. So it's really pretty. It's a pretty great solution for a lot of student loan borrowers.
Now, Ken, a lot of people, I mean, it seems extreme. Now, you and I, we know a lot of people who've gone through bankruptcy because of our businesses, right? I mean, 720creditscore.com. I mean, the majority of our clients have filed bankruptcy, foreclosure, short sale. I mean, it's not like a radioactive word to us.
Right.
Like some people may be watching this and be like, bankruptcy? I've never missed a payment in my life, right? Like, I'm not going to file bankruptcy. And the thing is that we've seen with clients, I'd like to talk about like real clients example, but when you have a $50,000 student loan and you're making 30,000 a year, like the pay down on that is seismic. And what people don't realize, you can get rid of your student loan, your debt through bankruptcy, and rebuild your life and be fully bankable, 720 credit score in 12 months, right? And this is why you and I met, right? We met because of this exact thing. We want to take the misconception away from bankruptcy and getting rid of and really a fresh start. And that's where your office, you said, look, I want to bring people from debt all the way and hold their hand all the way to complete financial recovery. So do you have any examples of someone that did a federal, this is a federal, not a private, federal student loan that, maybe had a bankruptcy in the past, or another one that never thought they'd file bankruptcy, but realizing, oh my goodness, my life completely changed?
Yeah, absolutely. So it would have been unheard of even just a few years ago to recommend bankruptcy to someone whose primary debt or even only debt was a student loan. However, in the last year or so, we have had such success discharging student loans that we've met with people who their only debt is our federal student loans, right? That's the only debt. And we have talked to them about the risks and the process that we have to go through to discharge those student loans. But these particular clients of ours have chosen to file bankruptcy and pursue discharge of their student loans. And in one particular case I can think of, we were able to eliminate the interest on our clients' student loans and reduce the balance substantially. So even though if you look just at the principal amount of his loan, going from, I believe it was around 80,000 to around 50,000, you say, well, that's not a large reduction, Mr. Neely. Why, why would you be proud of that? Because his interest rate went from high, probably 8 or 9% down to 0%. So now he's paying $50,000 at a 0% interest rate, as opposed to 80,000 at an 8 or 9% interest rate. And the real savings to our client was, it exceeded $100,000 because of that savings and interest. So, and no other debt, only the student loan debt. And so that choice, that kind of calculated strategy to say, I'm going to file bankruptcy, I'm going to seek relief on my student loans, paid off. And so far, it's really been, the success rate has been incredibly high. We know how to screen for the cases and the facts and the right situations to make sure that the case is successful. So we're not going to just, we're not going to just offer to represent every single person and then have make promises we can't deliver on. So if you qualify and if we offer to represent you, that means the chances of success are incredibly high.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing I love about what you're doing. If you do not save the money, if they don't, if someone's watching this, it's not like you're going to charge a fee and then they have to pay and it doesn't work out, right?
Right.
If you do not save the money and you do not, in black and white terms, discharge their student loans or save, like this guy, $100,000 in interest, then your firm gets paid nothing. It's like a contingency plan, right?
Perfect. Yep, that's exactly right. It's 100% guaranteed on the results, and even then, it's a percentage of the savings. So it's not like if we save someone a very small amount, the fees might still be higher than that amount we save. We will only charge a small percentage of the amount that we save our clients. So there's really never a financial risk in pursuing this. The only risk is to taking some time and putting in some effort and maybe having that be fruitless. But again, that's so rare. It's our success rate is near 100% on these cases. We get very good results.
And once the case is over, you pay us to review their credit report for errors. We make sure there's no errors on the credit report. You enroll them into our program, 7 Steps of 720 Credit Score. We're going to tell you exactly what to do to raise your credit score. And then in 12 months, in 24 months, depending on how quickly you implement the program, you're not going to have your student loan or vastly reduced student loan, and you're going to be on your way to just living your life the way you want without truly a ball and chain. A lot of people feel that student loans are like a ball and chain. I mean, a lot of people, we hear it, feel ripped off from the student loans. It's like, my gosh, if I would have known at this job, I wouldn't have applied for all these student loans. I mean, we hear it all the time. So if you're like that, go to studentloanrelief.us, studentloanrelief.us, fill out a free consultation for Neely Law Firm. And Ken, anything else before we wrap up and go to the next video?
No, nothing else, Phil. I think that we'd love to hear from anyone who's listening to this, who's watching this video, and see how we can help you out.
Okay. On this next video, we're going to talk about specifically how to qualify forgiveness with private student loans versus public. Uniquely different. Stay tuned.